Honestly, we haven't. We just, you know how cosplayers are. You're like, what do we want to do next year? And so we did that. We're like, we were looking at pictures of cosplays.
So this is just our Q&A panel. It's very just laid back, informal. Anything you guys want to ask us, we're down.
If it's,
We'll tell you our bra size. We will not. But no, seriously, anything. If you have something that you're trying to make and you're not sure how to make it, we'll
yeah,
try to
questions
help you
about the
out.
contest, previous contests.
Anything.
If you want to know what games we play, what anime we like, whatever.
You want to know my favorite way to make eggplant parmesan? I'll let you know.
I have like a zillion questions.
Go.
Okay. I'll start asking you guys about con stories in a little while, probably.
And anybody else, you can feel free to jump in. This is very conversational.
Okay, so I'm working on a Sailor Gallifrey cosplay for next year because it's gonna be freaking awesome and I can't wait.
Sailor Gallifrey. Nice.
But I'm not sure how I want to do the lamps because I'm essentially making this out of a block. I'm trying to figure out how I want to do it with no money.
Do you have a reference picture for us?
I have a rough sketch that my brother did. He helped me come up with this concept.
Let me tell you how you do this with no money. You get yourself some fairies, you get yourself some gnomes.
The cosplay fairy. There was an anime like 10 years ago that they had a cosplay fairy. What was the name of that anime? You would come in and it'd be like, shing. The cosplay was done because me and Sheila used to laugh because we'd be like, oh, that was real.
That was real.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, that would be nice. But no, I mean, there's like, nowadays, I mean, everything has been done, so there's somebody out there who found a cheap method, no matter what it is. So we're all very cheap. That's our shiny quality.
We call it thrifty.
I call it what it is. It's cheap.
I was gonna do the whole cone shaped thingy with like gears up coming up the outside and it's gonna be like in 3 dimensions and it's gonna be so freaking cool. I can't wait to show you guys.
Honestly, you need to get like a PVC pipe or a wooden dowel to get the link.
Yeah,
Then I would get styrene, because styrene is completely bendable and you seal it with hot glue. And styrene doesn't need to be finished, it's shiny, shiny, shiny. So you could literally spray paint it with metallic and it would look like metal or whatever you want.
That is awesome. Okay, I wasn't sure what to do for the outside. That's
That's what I would do. And for your handle, you can just wrap with a bunch of different duct tapes to get a good grip.
I
Or
was gonna
suede.
do like a PVC pipe and then some elbow joints.
Mhm.
Start saving all my Christmas.
Styrene, if you're going to paint it, they use styrene to make like garage sale signs and things like that. So if you go to Home Depot and go to the signs, some of the ones they have are really big. A lot of times these light fixture things actually are styrene. So if they don't have the signs, go to that light thing and look for ones that are flat and thin and you just bend it. And if it's not bending properly, you can heat it up a little bit with your hairdryer and kind of mold it. It's not super moldable like Warbler or anything, but enough that you could get a nice rounded thing there. And since you don't have to finish it, it's much easier. No sanding and sealing.
Nice, thank you.
Let's see, I guess I'll say first. Last year I did a Hextech Jana cosplay, and I had a crystal on my staff, and I bought these really dinky LED lights from Hobby Lobby. And I'd used the really hard stuff for these lights to make the crystal, and I cut it into a crystal. Anyway, I spray painted the back side so it would look blue from the other side because it had a crystal texture. And when I put that light in there, you couldn't even see it. You can only see when the lights were all turned down. So where do you find really bright LED lights that would fit in a small place?
Amazon has a lot of them, and eBay does too. Okay. You can do that. Or you could try EL Wire. EL Wire, do you know what EL Wire is?
No idea.
It has a battery pack, and you can buy it in a bazillion different lengths, but it's literally a LED light in a string, and it's bright the whole way. So you could roll it all up in the ball and put a ton in there, and so you're going to get more light. It's not expensive at all. They have it on Amazon. I could probably pull up 20 sellers right now on Amazon Prime, and you can have it in kits. It comes in blues and greens and stuff like that, and you can buy it really long and just cut it to length.
And it doesn't mess with the wiring?
Anything that you cut off isn't, but down below. It's really neat. You can sew it onto fabric because it's real thin, so you can bend it like the Tron TV stuff that they use.
Oh,
That's what I would use. But they also have light diffusers. They're a little harder to find, but if you search online for light diffusers, they make them for lights like this, and so it's supposed to diffuse the light. And so if you put that in there, sometimes that can help. Instead of it being one little LED point right here, it diffuses it so it looks more like glowing.
They also have, and I would recommend it. I always like to talk about it because I tried it and it's just like totally not worth the money I spent on it. They actually have now glow-in-the-dark resin powder where you can resin cast your gems with glow-in-the-dark powder.
But it's just glow in the dark.
It looks
You'd have to
so
be in
cool online, and then you get it in real life, and it's just so disappointing. And
If you were in a completely dark room and turned it off, it would look kind of cool.
well, and they of course they say, oh, it's got a charge. You know, you charge it in sunlight. And you charge it. They say you charge it for 20 minutes, and it lasts for like 7 hours. No, like 1 hour tops. So
You want really, really cheap, really quick lights. She came up with the idea to do the balloon lights. Go to Walmart, go to the party section. They have these already made up in balloons with LED lights inside them. And you just rip open the balloon and still the light. About this big, they come in different colors. You pull the tape and it lasts for 12 hours. You get a little bag of them. I think there's like 24 in there.
they
for
also
$6.
have ones. I actually don't like those because you have to throw them away. The ones I like to use are like little wedding lights, and they last like 12 hours also. But you can pop off the end and you can replace the battery. They take like little watch batteries, and I'm really lazy about replacing the batteries. But like if they have fresh batteries in them, it lasts like 12 hours. And those are actually pretty bright, and they're really cheap too. You can get them on Amazon also. They're called, I don't know remember what they're actually called, but if you search like wedding LED lights, they'll come up. They're just these little things. So you unscrew and you can turn them off. So you can use them for 1 hour if you want to turn them off, and it won't kill the battery. So.
On the glow-in-the-dark resin, have you ever tried to use UV LEDs on it?
I haven't. Sheila hasn't either, has she?
Not UV, we've just done straight LED work. And done any
UV
reactive.
LEDs and glow-in-the-dark anything, it makes it fine.
Yeah,
Either
that glow in the
charge it
dark
or
resin
stick something
powder was
inside
just so disappointing. I was so excited about it. I'm like, resin cast all my jewels with this glow in the dark powder, and it just did not have the staying power at all. So I would not do it again. Now I just have this really lovely looking green powder. Maybe I'll just like glitter something in my
I
house.
think you should
don't
put it
know.
in your flower beds out front.
I
It'll be the
should.
coolest house on the block at night.
I would. Well, yeah, because it get charged during the day. Next time
I am
you come-
expecting pictures.
Next time you come to my house. Yeah, my neighbors already think I'm weird. I don't know that
They
that
might
would
be
be good.
had something radioactive if they did that.
Well, my neighbor, I live in the downtown district of my town, and like so all my neighbors are elderly. They've lived in these houses for like 40 years, so they already don't understand me.
Yeah, my neighbors think I'm weird. I was
They
running
saw-
around
they
in
saw
the
me with a
street
glow-in-the-dark
testing
garden.
digigrade stilts, and they're just like,
Yeah, when they see me walk out in a costume, they're just like, oh, psycho neighbors at it again.
anybody else have questions? Shoot.
Okay, this is the cosplay that's gonna go with, but I need to make a halberd, big borax, and we have I've had a couple of different ideas, but obviously duct tape and cardboard's like, no. But we're not entirely sure, what would you recommend?
Insulation foam.
Yes, that's exactly. If Sheila was here, she made a ginormous axe just out of insulation board. Do you know what that is?
It's like those big pink and blue sheets, yeah.
You can use a heat knife to get the bevel.
Or
I mean,
just a kitchen knife. too.
kitchen knife or anything, but you have to, of course, cover it and seal it. She used styro spray, if you know what that is. It's a little more work intensive, but it's hard as a rock afterwards. But you could also, I think, different methods. You could do insulation foam board and then cover it with styrene to get a shiny finish. Or you could just break out the Mod Podge and
Seal it.
and seal, let it dry 24 hours and then go back and
It is a bit annoying because like whenever you carve it, like you can never get a nice carve. You always have to sand down the edges because it's like impossible to carve them pretty. But so there is a little bit of sanding work, but it's not too terrible.
Do you have a mouse sander? You know what those are?
I didn't know what it was until like 20 minutes ago.
It's a sander that's shaped like this. They use them to, they do the detail work. Every cosplayer should have one. Because you can like go to a point and sand just like this, or use the rounded edge to make, something rounded. You can use this edge to do bevels, and they fit in your hand, and they're, obviously plug in the wall electric, so they're strong.
Fortunately, sanding is like I love to just like get whatever. Like I was working on a big circular halo for a costume earlier this year. Like I would just drag it into my bed, and I would get under my covers with my little sander, and I would just sand while I would watch TV in my bed.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was like.
I'd have to wash.
Scratchy.
Yeah, I had to vacuum my bed afterwards, but I do that pretty much every day anyway. Because I'm weird freak about like things growing in my bed. Do you know like the amount of mites that like grow in mattresses? It's so once you learn, you're just disgusted for life. So I always vacuum my bed. But anyway, so yeah, I would like to cuddle in my bed with the standard.
You're allowed to.
It's so freaky.
My
I
poor
can't ever get out of it.
My poor sister brought home bed bugs.
Oh,
My
no,
roommate
can't
had
ever
bought
get rid of them.
bed sheets at Walmart and didn't wash them, and so the dormitory had to get basically bombed.
Yeah, you have to like heat it up to a certain amount to kill them. It's like crazy.
And there were bed bugs in the bed, and my poor sister had to change rooms and then basically do a deep clean of everything. So.
Yeah, I never had bed bugs, but that's my fear. That's why I vacuum my bed all the time.
No questions? Sure.
New favorite material?
Like material
now.
everything or material fabric, material armor, what are we talking about? 'Cause that's like so broad.
Well, I mean, like, a couple of years ago, it was that Warblood stuff. I mean,
It's still war blood. Everybody still worships war blood.
I didn't know if there's any new ones out that you guys like using a lot, or.
My new thing is vacuum forming. That's what I'm into. It's lighter. It's just really pretty as long as you've got, the ability to get the clay and sit there and make it look pretty.
If you make your own vacuum form, just build a bunch of holes in the table or whatever and chop back kind of.
Yeah, I went to the Salvation Army and found an old canister vac for $6 and did the whole thing. And I got some window frames with some clamps and measure your oven. And you can find one in that size so it just slides in the little things. And I just wait for it to sag, and then you slam it on and your cats go flying, and it's great.
And that's another question I had. How do you construction with animals? What is
They
your
tear it apart as I build it. It's an even thing.
Oh my god, I actually, like, a month ago, because my cats are just, obviously, anytime you're crafting, they want to be right next to you. So in my craft room, on my sewing table, I mounted a little wall mount table right on my sewing table up against the wall. So now when I'm on my sewing machine, my cat will come in and get on my little table there. So he can still sit next to me, but I can actually sew. You have to learn to live with your cats.
I keep them out of my craft room because I made the
They
mistake.
sit there and they meow at the door.
Well, I was doing Moro and Maru. We were doing Maru from Pollock, and she has the long pigtails that wrap around. So I had her on a step ladder up here because I was making the pigtails. And I went to work. It was done. We were going to a competition that week, and I was so happy. I got home from work, and I saw that my wig was in the living room, torn to shreds. They knocked the entire ladder over, pulled it off the wig stand, torn the thing to shreds. I mean, they drug it all over the house. It fell off its wig head. It was awful. I remember calling Sheila, just throw my wig over there.
We just, we're really good about keeping stuff. Like, everything has a place, everything in its place. I do a lot of feather work, and cats love feathers. So I have shelving, I have, closing boxes, and, cabinets and stuff.
I used
Just
to
keep
do
everything set up.
Indian beadwork, and I think I've still got a scar on my leg from, the long string was down off the table, and then you got a string moving up and down, and my cat has all their claws.
Yeah.
I was going to show you a picture. Let me find it. Unfortunately, this particular incident, I did lose my cat over it eventually. But I had a cat was helping me sew one day, and he swallowed a sewing needle.
Oh.
So be careful. But
So $3,000 later.
I did. They got me emotional, and I'm like, my cat. They're like, pay for the surgery. Okay, whatever, charge it, you know. And he only lived another month or so. It was sad, but yeah, you gotta be careful. Evidently, pretty common for cats to eat your needles.
No, Aislinn, my little, like my dog, she's like 13 years old. She's a little rat terrier dog. She loves like my little, the little cushion, you know, for your pins. Like if I leave that around, like she's very good at, she's not swallowing, and she's like very methodical. She'll put it down. She'll like find one pin, put it on the floor. Find one pin, put it on the floor. So it's like, yeah, we just everything in its place. Just keep them away from stuff. Yeah. I wouldn't give them up though.
There it is. They gave me his X-ray. You can see the pin in his stomach. Isn't that beautiful? My baby.
Maybe if he had a few more hairballs, it could.
Was sad because I used to allow them in the room to do whatever they wanted, and then when this happened, I was like, shut the door, because he was my baby.
Now on that cheerful note.
So now that we're all happy,
I'm sorry.
so did anybody have a weird con story, happy con story, horror con story? Go.
Well, the moral of the story is no good deed goes unpunished. Someone was overheating, and they were wearing, I'm not going to tell you the name of the costume, I'm not going to give their gender, just because, you know.
They were wearing a big costume.
No, they weren't. They just were wearing a wig, and they hadn't hydrated properly, so they were overheating. So I invited them to come over to my hotel to take a shower and cool off. And they give me the pants to their costume. And they said, here, will you press these? And I'm like, you know, being a good person, it's like, oh, sure. There was no label, and I don't know fabrics that well. They were synthetic plastic pants. And I swore.
Well, you know what? They never should have given it to you. That's their fault.
Oh, well, we get to, well, I didn't think that far, because, you know, as you can tell, I just invited a total stranger into my room to cool down, so.
Yeah, that was
Well,
That was ballsy. We'll go with
probably
ballsy.
not.
I had my big little brother, so.
What was your con story?
It's not done.
Oh, it's not done. Oh, sorry.
So now there's this huge hole in the butt cheek of the pants. And this poor person is in the shower while this happens, and my brother and I are looking at each other going, crap, they can't walk around wearing these. So we take the drawstring pants off of my brother's costume. He changes out, and we hand them to this poor victim and say, here, wear these. We're going to go to Walmart and get you some new pants. Now, I do not have a car, and this person is a new driver, and they do not know Tulsa very well. So what should have just been a quick 8-minute drive turned into a 30-minute drive with near misses. You know, the bird was flying a couple of times. And then we finally get to Walmart, and I find out that this is a borrowed costume that they're wearing to boot. So,
Yikes.
so we pick up a new pair of khakis. This poor person is on the verge of tears. This is their first con to boot. So I'm thinking, well, there's nothing so bad that dehydration and calories don't do. So I go over to the McDonald's, spend about $10 to get fries and a shake, and I spend another $15 on the pants. So this good deed is already up to about, you know, $35. They go their way, and we have avoided each other through the conflict
Because it's so awkward.
Yes. Now this gets even better. You guys saw the kimono I was wearing. I wanted to avoid conflict, so at the end of the day, I go, okay, now I need to go in and I need to steam clean this with the iron. I pick up the iron, and there's that huge glob of plastic still stuck to it. So I need a new iron. Unfortunately, the hotel is booked solid, so there is no empty room I can steal a new iron from. So it takes an hour and a half to find a new iron so I can finally press this caustic. And that is my no good deed goes unpunished.
Aw. Do you have a hoarder story?
It's not that bad. But
I'll be the judge of that now.
We'll tell you our horror story after this.
it wasn't that bad. But last year, I had to work Saturday morning for TNT, so I wasn't able to enter the cosplay competition. So, but I wanted to go to the contest to watch. So I go there, and it's already getting full, and people, the staff are like, go, 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 come on, this way, this way, this way. So I'm like, okay, and I'm with a friend, and we're just walking and walking, and then they take me away. They're like, you can't go this way. My friend, I'm like, why? I didn't know why. I don't know why I said. They're like, oh, this way, and they're letting people in, and then I get put lined up on the wall. Well, you know how last night they lined people up on the wall after they went on stage? I got put in that line, and I was like, I didn't go on stage. People next to me were like, you did a good job. I'm like, I didn't go on stage.
Did you just go, thanks?
Yeah, I was just like,
I was so nervous when I did that pose up there.
did it look good? So I'm glad I got to be in the room to watch the competition.
Hey, there you
I just got
go.
put in the cosplay line, so.
So awkward.
Okay, our con story, Anime Fest.
How are you even picking one? Like, I don't even.
This is, I'll do
think
this
a
one,
million.
but there's other. This one's the funniest because we almost got mugged by a homeless man.
Oh my god!
She knows what I'm talking
Oh.
about. Okay, we
This
were
wasn't
at
funny. This was not a funny story.
we were at Anime Fest, or no, it was Anime Fest the first year they moved to the Acon Hotel.
Yeah.
And if you've been there before, you know they have the Cancer Survivors Plaza. Sunday morning, about 9 o'clock, we were wearing some Magic Knight Rare, little pleated, sailor type outfits, just cute. We're like gonna go out there and take some pictures. And so we walk out there, and Heather is setting up the tripod, and she has me standing in the position, lining up the shot. And I see this homeless man, and he's just walking by our purses, and he's like, and I was like, they were with the camera, and I was like, and he sees our purses, and he just opens them and starts walking. So I ran over, and I grab all of our purses, and I'm like this, and he looks at me, he just grabs my skirt and looks underneath it. And I'm like, oh my God, and I'm running away with our purses.
And we're like,
Sheila runs over and knocks him down into the ground. She's like this, and he's going, really? What the fuck, dude? He gets up, and as most homeless people are, they have some mental problems. We made it worse, of course. So then he
I should
starts
not have
freaking
told him.
out. Yeah, he's fist up, starts chasing
Yeah,
us.
he like walks at us.
The words were slurred. He was just like, I'm on, and we're like, oh my God, we're running.
We're like, get the camera.
Some other
get the camera,
people from
most
the other
valuable
side,
possession.
and some bigger guy cosplayers, they're like coming towards us, and he's like picking up huge rocks and like trying to hit us. Sheila
Where are
getting,
these rocks coming from?
it was like,
the little garden.
horrible.
There was like a little garden. Yeah.
yeah, it was just like, note to
It was
self,
terrifying. at the
don't
time,
leave
but
your purses away from, always keep them near you.
I didn't care about the purse at all. I'm like, get my camera.
She was all worried about our camera, but our car keys were in there.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't spend $1,000 on my car keys.
Yeah, but we were tired and exhausted, and we wanted to go home, and we would have been stuck there. That's all I thought.
God.
I want to go home.
Yeah, that was terrifying. at the
Yeah,
time, though.
Sheila yells at him, or you yell at him, Sheila hits him, and all I do is get our assets and run.
Yeah, that was pretty awful, honestly. Though.
Has anybody ever had interesting cosplay malfunctions while walking around?
I've had a strap on a breast, or
Yeah.
a strap on a dress break, and then the first word I said.
She was walking along, and she was, how beautiful.
Yeah.
Taking her picture, and her
like,
strap
oh.
just goes, bing! And it's like, fuck! And we're like, and everybody, of course, is like, click, 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 click.
They will not be calm.
Yes. I never saw any of those pictures online. Just like, I had a duct tape
Yeah.
malfunction.
She had an underboob.
I had an
costume,
underboob,
some
so
duct tape,
it, and it was at Acon, and they weren't super elaborate. We didn't expect a lot of pictures.
But suddenly
We started getting a lot of requests, and I'm like, why are we getting so many? Yeah, the duct tape malfunction. Everything was out. So.
Yeah. Yeah, we continue to make these costumes that require this types of pictures.
Can I tell another one?
Sure.
This is on my sister, so I have her permission to tell this one. She will not be coming down and killing me. Last Tokyo in Tulsa, my sister dressed up as Snow White. And, she made basically a high-waisted skirt and a little blue horse. It was a very simple thing. But the skirt wouldn't stay in place. She got the idea of taping the bottom of the skirt, the top of the skirt, to her brassiere. which worked and held it in place and everything looked pretty. However, she hadn't. It worked, but there was an element of field testing she forgot. Because apparently Snow White is still a fairly popular princess. So this little girl, and this happened 3 times during this convention, 3 separate little girls came up, ran up to her, tugged on her skirt, and said, "You're my favorite princess."
Yeah, and pulled it down.
Well, my sister is has a brilliant hunting face. So while everything is trying to escape, she, does this. Pretending to do, you're my favorite princess too. And she's doing a swoop save.
Good call. Good save. Good save.
Yeah, they really don't think about these designs at all before they draw this stuff. Like, really, how am I gonna wear that? You should have considered that.
I completely wiped out coming out of an elevator.
Yeah.
My claws got stuck in the elevator. I was wearing these. They were like
She
digit
got mad
grapefruit
at
with
me
heels.
because I didn't help her.
They all stood there and laughed at me. I was like face down. I was like, what the hell? They're like,
I
I was like literally face planted. Out of the elevator, in the lobby, Akon. Bam, in front of everybody.
Oh,
Yeah, it was glorious. My knees were bleeding.
Nothing fell out, at least.
The only issue I've had is fabric choice. It's like
It's hard.
a few years ago, it was the second time I came to this convention, the second convention ever, and I came as Marple Girl, and so I had a green dress and the duct taped mask and and dish gloves and the whole 9 yards. But the dress was made of double knit fabric, and it was summer. And the elastic band on the mask is still dyed red from all the hair dye I sweated out. I was in a daze for the whole day.
Yeah. The third judge, who was normally here, she almost passed out on stage last night while she was giving out awards. Nobody noticed that she started swaying, and we immediately stepped up and stood next to her
She
shoulders
was
to hold her up.
we take turns announcing the awards so we can explain why this person won. And she was so quiet. We're like, Sheila, speak up. What's wrong? And she's just like,
I don't feel good.
oh God.
Well, that was an excellent save. I mean, I thought it was a little odd that you two
Kind of took over at some point. Yeah. We're like, something's wrong.
That was an almost seamless save. Congratulations.
That's like when you know somebody really well. I'm like, she's not talking normal.
Is she okay?
She
laughed.
went home this morning, so.
Yeah, poor thing.
Yeah, she was. We sit the way they have it sitting right next to the stage on the floor, the little table. Pretty much the whole time she was turning, just staring at the stage. I don't even think she even saw anybody. Fortunately, we do the judging and prejudging in the morning, but she was just in such a daze. Yeah, so what happens? Never fun when you get sick at a convention. I always get sick after the convention. Apparently, my immune system's like.
Yeah, that's me too. So any other questions? Things about building, funny stories?
Granite cosplay, was that her that did that?
Yes, good night.
What did she use for her horns and then for the body paint? Did it stay on all day or?
Yes and no. I mean,
I'd love to do it during the night.
we have actually since changed our body painting method. That particular type of method was Krylon or Aquilon. Krylon is the brand. Aquilon is the type. It's a cake makeup, and you get it wet and you put it on and you seal it, and it doesn't come off supposedly without soap. But if you sweat enough, it does come off. And so we've done a bunch of different body paints. I just recently, at this last Acon, did a character with black body paint. And I actually did the airbrush. I got an airbrush machine, and I found a new type of body paint that even sweating didn't make it. And so that's my new thing. I'm like, everybody should use this. But it is airbrush only, so you did have to do that. But it was like black, no streaks, beautiful. No,
Was
it
it
was.
expensive to do?
Well, the airbrushing machine I got on Amazon was like $120, and then the body paint is from Silly Farms. It's their own personal brand.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
I didn't realize
it's called FAB. It's a hybrid between an ink, like a true ink, and a body paint. So you can use it on your face because, like the inks, they only come off with alcohol. That's what you get those temporary tattoos. But you can't put those on your face. They'll cause you to have a pretty bad reaction. And so they did a hybrid, and I sweat like buckets at Acon. I mean, it was dripping all over me and it never came off. I even saw the pictures. It's so saturated that you can't see anything in my pictures. They just look like a black thing. So I'm going to need to do more contouring with white next time so I show up in the pictures. But it was amazing.
She brought it, and I was like, are we really going to go through all the hassle of setting up the airbrush machine and going through all this? But
It's quick.
by the time
easy.
I got done painting her, I was 100% sold. Like, I'm going to use it next year, so.
It's like you take the little thing, you press the button, and it's like,
so easy.
I mean, it takes you about a half hour to do your body. That little bottle was $20 though. That's the drawback. It'll do probably an entire body and a half.
What'd she use for her horns?
I'm trying to remember what she used for those.
What can it?
I was thinking Sharama magic or
They were
something.
pretty hard. I mean,
Oh no, those are
didn't she?
no, those are Claycrete.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, Claycrete over a cardboard mold. She like cut the cardboard pieces out.
Select.
Yeah, there's not a good signal in here, so you have to wait.
And then I think I saw what did I clip? They clipped on her hair.
Like little bobby pins.
We
just slid
clicked
it
them into
her
the wig
wig.
netting.
Yeah. It's like select.
We are not getting a good signal in here. So
Oh, there
it
it is.
So there you go. Is this the one you're talking about? I take it.
That
Yes,
one.
that one.
Yeah. That's it.
She looks awesome. We can say that because it's not actually us, it's her.
She did look awesome. Very cool.
Maybe like in your beginning years, cosplays that you were really excited to work on, or even not even cosplay, just an original piece or something. You're really excited to work on, had everything planned out, we got down to it, like this is not coming out the way that I wanted it
Every costume we've ever made. No.
Now this
to. This does not
Bastet,
look at all what
I did. If you guys are familiar with the game Smite, I did Bastet, which is the cat goddess, and I just finished her. That was like
That was really good.
bang my head. I wanted, if you see the character, she has very elegant digigrade legs, very thin, and not at all the big chunky blocks of wood that people do. So I was like bound and determined, I'm going to make these, I'm going to do it right, I'm going to, and everybody's like, you're insane. Oh my gosh, it took forever.
What took forever on it?
Just getting the physics down right. You've got to, it's so hard because basically, I think I have pictures of them somewhere. The digigrade still, you have something on the ground, something comes up here, your foot is here, you're walking in a point, but you don't have anything below you. So you've got to have something that keeps you from collapsing down this way. Most people will just put a big wooden block down here, and it kind of balances, so your feet look really blocky when you walk. But I was bound and determined not to have a blocky foot. So
What about bungee cords to act as faux tendons?
bungee cords actually give too much. When you put your entire body weight on a bungee cord, it will drop all the way down.
Oh my goodness.
So what I ended up doing, because I tried the really high tension springs and all of that, it's just not, the springs, if you get a high tension one big enough, they're great, but you start to wobble because the spring's doing this. And so you're going side to side and you're like, ooh, that didn't work, take that off. What I ended up doing was, try to do this on my legs. But I tried to, and I was trying to do this without doing a thigh thing, because some people will do thigh and everything. I did it just for here. I had aluminum rods that I meant to fit here. They hooked onto an aluminum platform that my foot, I had a shoe hooked in. I took teeny tiny little metal cables, like the really, really strong cables. I ran them, drilled holes and ran them through here, up through here, and then hooked them onto these aluminum things, and I had a carriage right here. So that when I pushed down, all this downward weight was transferred to the front of my calf. So I wouldn't fall. My own weight was keeping me up.
So you
So-
basically use those wires that you see like on telephone, that support telephone?
No, I think people use them sometimes to chain up their dogs. If you look at them, it's like a bunch of different small wires
Oh, yeah.
all wrapped together. I got the ones covered in vinyl.
Okay. That makes
You have to
sense.
get a swagging tool to swish them together, which is kind of a pain. But I'd already had the swagging tool for making screwable wings. So.
Okay.
But it actually turned out good. Now my base of the feet, I'm gonna redo that. I didn't have enough stability this way.
Okay.
And so I figured that out. I like redrew all my diagrams, and I'm gonna put it on the lathe and round it out now. I think I'll have much more stability. But I used there's a recycled metal yard in our town, and the metal insets for doors that are aluminum, I used those. I just ripped one out.
Kind of hard. You can kind of see them there. It's too dark, I think. It was a stage photo,
But they weigh nothing, but it's really, really hard aluminum. I just, I was in the junkyard, I just strung it between stuff and then jumped up and down in it, see if it would bend. So, yeah.
Out of curiosity, when you did that, when you went up and down, did you face plant because it didn't bend on you?
No, because I had something that I was holding, and I was
okay.
like, jump, 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 because the majority of them that I did actually did bend. Because a lot of people will use like really heavy iron and stuff like that, but they weigh a ton, and you're already going to be weighing a ton, and I already had body paint and weapons and all kinds of other stuff, so I was trying to find some real strong aluminum, and it worked well.
that's all. That's all this is.
I think for
Yes.
giggles, you should tell the Lauren Tinkerbell story.
Yes.
No, because that's not a story about us.
No, whatever. She tells you.
It's a college story.
She tells it like every time.
We have a friend who imbibed a little too much at a convention. We saw her running past us with
She was wearing a Tinkerbell costume.
and there was a guy in an Inuyasha costume taking her picture. We were going to eat or something, and she was like on a pole, and he's like, bend over further,
We were like,
further.
girl,
She's
stop.
like, okay, and we're like, so we just basically tried to protect her for the rest of the night, but
There was one point when she started running. We were almost to our hotel room. We started running down the hall, and we're like, "Girl, stop, stop!" We're trying to like get her back to the hotel room to get her some water and get her, back to her mindset. She took off down the hall, and our hotel room was at the end of the hall. She completely passed our door and ran smack into the end of the hall's wall.
face plant,
Basically, it
backwards.
flew backwards. It was so loud. The people across the hall came out of the hotel room, freaked out about what just happened, and of course she just laughed it off. And
We're just
nope.
like, oh
Took her
my
to the hotel room and left her there
gosh.
for the rest of the night. You're not.
This is the poster child of not drinking too much.
Yeah.
Does she remember anything in the morning?
Oh, she tells that story all the time. She remembers.
She thought it was funny.
But yeah, so we're like, you're staying in the hotel room. You're out of control, lady. Yeah. It was so loud. God, that smacking sound. I just can't even.
Very on the windshield.
Bam! I
It was
can't even
really
explain
loud.
It to you. It's so loud. It's like she could.
We were pretty sure she broke something,
Yeah.
yeah.
Watch yourself if you're in a con. Keep yourself under control.
Okay, I have a semi-narcissistic question. What would you have liked to have seen me do different with my costume?
I liked your costume material. Yeah, maybe a silk, a little more traditional silk would have been nice. Maybe a little more types of materials and techniques. Like some of the winners, I mean, they did.
Oh yeah, I can't beat Shay.
Yeah.
The number of.
She made her own chainmail. She tooled her own
You can't
leather.
even remember all the things she did.
She was like
Oh,
crazy.
yeah, I know I probably was, but part of it is I do want to know what you liked about my costume and what you would like to see different. Like now, I'm already thinking, well, if I done a satin stitch on the traveler's chart, if I
Exactly.
used wire to help form the knot.
Yeah, if you're gonna do an applique, don't just wander under it. Do a satin stitch. It just takes it up a notch. I think just maybe a little more elaborate costume,
Okay.
so that there's more for you to show off. If you do an elaborate costume, you've got the chance to do all kinds of stuff.
Well, I only had about 3 weeks to build, and I also started school at the same time, so.
Do you have a question?
What's the best way to do a Rule 63? Like, do it
Gender bending.
the best way.
I don't know that there's, I mean, I don't think there's really a right and a wrong way.
Depends on what your reference is. Like if you're doing like a Lolita-esque version of it, or if you're trying to look exactly like the character, but with boobs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's so many different
There's not
ones.
a right or a wrong way to do it. I mean,
Just do it.
it's not at this point. It's not canon anymore. You know, so it's not what it is. What you want to make it. So personally, I mean, I don't know. I think if you're, and this is just me. Like I said, there's no right or wrong. But I always feel like if you're gonna do a gender bent, I kind of like when it's just a little different. I mean, if you make it exactly how it's supposed to look, then it's just like you just didn't feel like binding. It's like you're the male version, but you just didn't want to bind. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like do something to make it more feminine or masculine, you know, vice versa, whatever. So
It is fun when you see people do the gender bends and they go over the top with it. It's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
I guess that's what I'm saying.
Because
Yeah,
then
I like
they
to
walk
see it
by and you're like, oh my
visible.
god, that's awesome. You know, that kind of.
But again, that's just our opinion. There's no right or wrong answer. So what time is it? 2:15. Huh. We like to talk a lot. We're ramblers.
What about you guys?
Let's all sit here. No one leave the room. We're
So
not gonna say
15
anything
minutes,
for 15
we can
minutes.
all play with our DSs.
Let's all play Puzzle and Dragons. We've talked like half the room into downloading it.
I have another question. This isn't meant to sound rude, but do y'all have jobs in between pods?
I'm a dentist.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
you a dental assistant or like a dentist, like a DDS?
Yes,
That's
I
what
own a
wanna
practice in
be.
Norman.
Okay. Awesome.
I'm a project manager at a company that builds cell phone towers.
Sheila is a high school art teacher.
Where did you go to school for dentistry?
Oh, you?
That's what I was thinking. Okay.
Are you trying to be a dentist too? Oh gosh, yeah, we gotta exchange information,
Do
definitely.
you work with dental hygiene or orthodontia?
I'm a dentist.
Okay, sorry.
I have hygienists that work for me. I'm a general dentist.
Okay, sometimes when they just put what they put on the marketing and then what they actually have learned are sometimes two different. Sorry, that's not.
No, I know what you mean. I see a lot of people claiming to be specialists that aren't. No, I'm a DDS, Doctor of Dental Surgery.
Does that mean you do root canals?
I do root canals, extractions, fillings.
I need to go. I keep like I want to say I'm going to go down. I'm going to let you, cast me. And you're going to fix your
Yes.
this and this.
I want to make teeth for her, vampire teeth. She won't ever come down.
I need to get a couple of crowns too, like baby crowns replaced. And I live 2 hours away from her. My dentist retired, and I don't like the people there now. So I'm like, I'm going to let you be my dentist, but you're so far away. And
Well, don't do that. It might ruin your friendship just a little bit.
oh, we've known each other long enough that.
I've scrubbed body paint off her backside in the shower.
Yes, the three of there was a convention where we all had body paint. And
We did Twi'leks from Star
yes,
Wars.
it was
Oh, wow.
and we didn't realize how late it was. We hurried to get into our competition piece, which is our costumes.
Yeah, we checked in and they're like, oh no, you need to be in them in 20 minutes. We're like,
Yes. So we ran back to the room, and everybody, all three got in the shower at the same time. This tiny hotel shower, scrubbing each other down to get the paint off. It was chaotic.
she was a pink Twi'lek and me and Sheila were blue Twi'leks. So there was purple all over the mouth.
Yeah, and when we
Loaded.
Yeah, and when we got out, like one of my thighs was still entirely pink somehow.
We're like,
Fortunately,
Megan, dang it!
Yeah, it was the most horrible shower I've ever seen.
I know we probably shouldn't admit that because when we were in there, we were like, this is like so bizarre.
It was so awkward at the time. It was like.
There was nothing sexy about it. Totally. Nothing.
Well, I was about to say, that's almost like something out of a fan service.
Yeah,
it was not like
really
that.
something out of anime. It was so weird.
It was like,
And it's like this is how kings and queens would have it. It did
Because
not.
that would be so ridiculously perfect.
Yeah, it did not make me want to be like royalty a couple hundred years ago when someone else would bathe me.
no, that's just weird.
So awkward.
Very weird.
Okay.
Brain freeze.
Hang on. I'm gonna get in a second.
While she's thinking, let's talk about shows.
Let's watch cat videos.
No, please. do
Scratchy
not.
spider.
No. I
Squeak frog.
Have you guys seen Scratchy Spider?
Yes.
I
Oh
showed
my
it to
gosh,
her
hilarious.
on Friday, and now she's
Never seen it
stopped
before.
playing it
It's
again.
hilarious.
I can't get her to stop playing. I wish I had showed her.
Yep. Melinda, the con director, saw it because she did it in the costume contest. She's like, squish, 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 squish. And I'm hidden.
I have a quick question.
Shoot.
How tall is Sheila?
She's 5'11".
Wow.
She usually looks like she's 6'4" because she always wears those
I
crazy
know.
heels.
Well, that's why I was wondering because I remember one of my favorite ones that she's done is her XXX holic with the I think it's like a
The big gold thing.
The big
Yes,
gold thing.
the big gold thing.
Yeah, that was the little
And-
Malaysian one we did.
yeah. She did that one I think a couple of years ago, like
4 years ago, yeah.
4 years ago. Okay. And that was just one of my favorites, and she always looked so tall, so I was
Yeah.
wondering exactly how
We
tall
play
she
that
was.
up because we're both really short and she's really tall. So like
It's really dynamic.
that's
when
how
you're on
we pulled
stage,
off
yeah.
playing 12-year-olds. Because
She
she
looks so
put
big.
she put
Yeah.
on 4.5-inch heels with a 2-inch platform and
Wow.
that big thing. We look like little kids. It was good.
When people are talking about working on their stuff during prejudging, how much of a scatterbrain? Okay, but like,
Talking about prejudging.
yeah,
Mhm.
okay. Say one person has been working spending every spare moment they can on this costume, but you know it's you know a normal costume that you see, and then the other person that they spend a lot of time and work on it too, but you know they've got like light up stuff and a mask that moves when they push a button and all this stuff. How big of a factor is
How we do the judging, like how we
Yeah.
decide the placement.
Unfortunately, the amount of time you spend on a costume is not relevant.
And the amount of gadgets isn't relevant if you didn't do them right.
Yeah.
We always tell people the first thing we do when you walk up, and you guys are judged by this, we know. One person is an accuracy person, so we take your reference picture. The other person stands up and flips seams, and what we're looking for is raw edges, safety pins, tags. We'll catch you. We're looking to see if you sealed your armor. You know, if we walk up to the warbler and it still looks porous, you didn't seal it. If we walk up and you sealed it, but it's globby and bumpy, then you didn't sand it. You know, things like that. Those are what we consider finishes. So that's part of your craftsmanship score. And then the third person, you know, talks to the person because I mean we're not gonna get everything. Usually we'll see everything, but that's when you use your 2 or 3 minutes to tell the judge, oh, by the way, I dyed this wig or I did this.
okay.
So then we make our decision. Okay, accuracy, they nailed it. Every little detail in the picture was in there. Even the fit, the color, everything. If your character has a blonde hair and you were wearing a brown wig, that's not accurate. If your character had a giant jewel right here and you used one this big, that's not accurate. I know that sounds stupid, but when you have 20 people who all nailed it, you gotta have a way to narrow it down.
Yeah.
So once we get all the people who were really accurate and really good craftsmanship, finished all their seams, smoothed everything, the resin was all sealed and shiny, no fingerprints, they finished everything. Then we start counting the techniques they use, because how do you narrow it down? Well, this person sewed really good, finished really good, they styled their wig really good. This person sewed really good, finished really good, dyed their wig, made chainmail, used Sintra for armor in a really good way, did a great paint job, resin casted buttons. Guess what? They win over this person. Even though they were both beautifully well made, both accurate, and both craftsmanship, there's got to be a way to narrow it down. Techniques and finishes, because you can enter a contest and have 27 different types of techniques. If you didn't finish
If
them
you didn't execute them
completely,
correctly, then yeah.
But the amount of passion
time.
and drive put into it.
It just doesn't. It's not.
that's not
relevant.
quantifiable
Yeah.
though.
Okay.
It's,
How do you quantify
Yeah.
somebody's passion for something?
yeah. It doesn't really affect the construction of the costume.
I just wanted to know how big of a factor that was.
Yeah.
It also, and I tell people this, they don't understand, the convention decides how they want the contest judged.
We don't have
We
anything.
They hand us a little sheet of paper that has a scorecard on it.
Okay.
And so they weight it all. So like some conventions we go to, and they want half of it to be your stage presence, and the other half to be your construction. This convention wants it all about construction, accuracy, and creativity and craftsmanship.
Okay.
So, you know, that's not our decision. You know, they pay us to judge, so we have to do it the way they want.
Okay. I did not know that part. Okay.
Is it possible for conventions to basically publish their grading rubric online?
If you look, she actually has it on there.
She does. I
Okay.
think.
Yeah.
It's on there. She talks about how you will be judged on accuracy and craftsmanship. I tell people all the time, make sure you know this before you enter, because some contests, it's not at all about craftsmanship. It's not at all about detail or workmanship. It's all about what you look like on stage, and that's going to change who wins. You know? They could look great on stage and be a hot mess up close. You just don't know, you know.
We have 5 minutes. Does anybody have any last question? Yep.
How much of if you're doing this sort of like at the beginner level, how much of a costume for the cosplay contest can be essentially like repurposed? Like
This
initially
convention, the
when I
rule
bought
is-
it was like commissioned, like
This
I didn't
convention,
make
the
it,
rule
but
is
then
60%.
60%.
It varies by convention though. Some conventions are less, some are more. So.
Right.
And
It used
It's
to
so
be.
subjective.
It used to be that the beginner category, you could have a lot of bought or altered pieces and still win. But nowadays,
as the years go
oh
by,
my
it'll
gosh,
get better and better.
the beginners are like
Yeah.
what was advanced 4
Yeah.
years ago. You know what the usual A game that would have won isn't there anymore. I mean, that Holic group, they were beginners. The giant wig, that was her first costume. You know, I mean, people are just, they're getting online, they're Googling. We get messaged multiple times a week, how did you do this? And we're typing out elaborate tutorials for them. People are researching, they're hungry for the knowledge, and they're getting it, and they're just going to town, and I love it. I love to walk around a convention and go, ah! I love it. It's fun to see amazing.
Well, thank you everybody for coming. If you have any other questions you want to talk about, need advice on a costume, all of our good cards are on. So we just have slips of paper now. Pick it up in our Facebook page on there. Feel free to message us. Like she said, we answer questions about costumes all the time, pretty much daily. It's no imposition. Don't be afraid to ask us. We'll try our best to help you. So
Even if your question is, why didn't I win? We get that.
we are happy to discuss what we were thinking about when we were judging. So.
And we're not going to do it in
It'll
a
be
mean
private.
manner.
No.
We try to be as positive about everything as we can. All right.
Thank you, everybody.
So can we Facebook message you on your Mythos creation?
Yeah.